All right, let's unpack some of the developments at Eskom. We're joined by energy expert Hartmut Winkler from Physics Department at the University of Johannesburg. Mr. Winkler, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Quite a lot has taken place this week insofar as Eskom is concerned. Let's perhaps start with the latest development, the appointment of Khalib Kassim as interim CEO. Your views?
Yes, no, it doesn't surprise me. This is very much an interim position, and they were always going to take somebody who's in their top management team and who knows how the company functions. So, in a sense, he would have been an obvious person to pick. Of course, the public is now going to expect this person to somehow turn around the Eskom and get rid of load shedding. Nothing like that is going to happen. This is. I don't think it is even going to be any claims that this is possible. So it's really very much holding the fort, making sure that documents are signed and so on, and keeping the current course until a full-time CEO is appointed, which I guess at this stage we could probably expect this person to still be in this sort of function for another 3 months or so.
So he's a safe pair of hands. Now, speaking of that permanent CEO, your views on that. Who should be the person that takes over from Andre de Ruyter? Because the situation has become quite dire. Eskom, literally, as many have said, is the single biggest risk to our economy, so it needs to be stabilized. What is the kind of CEO that could probably turn things around?
Yes, in my opinion, such a person doesn't exist. The best thing would almost be if a person came along who fully admits that we are not going to get out of this crisis for the next 2, 3, or probably even 5 years. And at the moment, the best thing one can hope for is somebody who stops the slide from going any further. If this time next year we are in exactly the same situation as far as load shedding is concerned as we are now, I would actually consider that as a success, because at the rate we've been going the last few years, it's been getting worse and worse every year. Nobody's going to turn around something as big as Eskom around in a very short time. It's going to take a long-term plans. It's going to take a lot of things that you just simply cannot do in a short space of time. So I'm just hoping that this whoever comes in is going to have the interests of the country at heart, and that this person is not going to be attacked too much. But unfortunately, I think such a person will always be attacked, which is probably also why nobody really wants this position.
But there's been a debate around perhaps the qualifications. Should this be somebody with an engineering background? It's not a necessity, according to you. Can they be an accountant? What do you believe the CEO, the incoming CEO, should actually have insofar as background is concerned and qualifications?
Yeah, the ideal is certainly if somebody who, if they're not an engineer, who has worked at a company dealing with power issues for a long time. At the same time, the CEO seldom operates on their own. They take advice from the various people that work immediately, the line managers under them. And so from that point of view, I don't think it's essential that the person should be the person who actually fully understands exactly what's going on in the power station, although it helps in the end, especially if there are some sort of competing views. But in general, I think the CEO is supposed to steady the ship and, above all, listen to the people working under them that know what's going on.
Then to the sudden departure of Mr. de Ruyter, your views on all that's taken place this week, from the interview with those explosive allegations and then finally the decision to let him go.
Yes, well, I think the position was untenable. I'm actually surprised that he didn't decide to leave on the spot and that, but I guess he was persuaded in the interest of continuity and handing over to the new appointment to stay on initially 3 months. Some people are even saying he should maybe stay on a little bit longer, since the new person wasn't going to come in that fast. But I guess that whatever the reasons were for that led to what was said in the interview, and of course one can debate whether this is appropriate or not to make. It's certainly what was mentioned in those interviews is certainly very much what a lot of people around the country are speculating on and have been thinking of. So I think the reaction from the ANC and some ministers, I think, was a little bit too strong. They should be aware that this is what people are thinking, and they could have just simply denied that this is a case without getting overly excited. But they didn't do that, and so yes, I guess I think it's probably good that he's now decided that he's going to part ways with Eskom. And yes, but of course, the interim CEO is now going to have to the power crisis in their hands. And since we are now slowly moving into winter, things are going to get worse. We can expect load shedding to increase as we go towards the middle of the year.
Most certainly very concerning. But what are your views around the criticism of the timing of it all? Because I'm sure you've seen the debates on social media and elsewhere in certain quarters. It seems Parliament, to a great extent, knew nothing around this. They actually now want to summon Mr. De Ruyter to come and give them more information around these allegations. What are your views there about those that may perhaps question the timing of it all? Why wasn't it said a bit earlier to allow Parliament as well to deal with it?
Yes, well, I can't really comment on what exactly prompted Andre De Ruyter to make these allegations now. I guess he's been at least suspecting these sort of things and had some sort of information about them. Why he hasn't come forward earlier? Some people would maybe say that in a sense he did. He had been highlighting that corruption is one of the biggest problems at Eskom, and to which Minister Mantashe had said that his job is to run Eskom and not to be a policeman. And that, so I don't know what eventually prompted him to come out openly with this, but I'm sure the country is now waiting to hear if he has anything concrete. If he does, it's I guess then it will be a bit of a bombshell. If he doesn't, then he's not going to look very good. But I think the country, and I think it's coming from all quarters now, that people would like to know exactly what exactly is behind of that. And I think that's not a bad thing in any case, because we kind of all know that there's problems at Eskom, that there's issues with various, what now openly being called mafias, with internal corruption and that. And I think the public just wants to know more of what's going on inside Eskom. Eskom has in the past always hidden behind this cloak that they are an item of national security, and that therefore they want to disclose as little as information as possible. I think I would personally welcome a situation where Eskom tells us as much as they possibly can. I think the days where Eskom can run as a semi-secretive organization, as they did back in the 1980s, I think those are over. The public wants to know exactly where we are, and they want an honest opinion of where the energy crisis is heading.